Good morning and welcome to the Rewind Show. It is the Sunday Supplement 283. I am Steve Brown, usual place on this Sunday morning, and over there at the View is manager of Bacup Borough, Brent Peters. How are you doing, sir?
All right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
On this nice Sunday morning at the View.
It is.
It's beautiful here.
Well, we were great last night as well, Brent. You know, I was just packing up and I was just looking across to the club, and they're all there out on the veranda or the balcony, whatever you want to call it. They're all enjoying themselves. The music's blaring, the food's going. It's what it's all about, mate.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's been a long time coming. You know, you look back and only a few years ago we had the old, you know, which served you well for many years, the old clubhouse, but now it's in full swing almost. You must be quite pleased and quite proud of what you've done.
I'll be pleased. I get frustrated a little bit because there's things that's not been finished. And it's hard work. I mean, for instance, I'm not going to here to throw him under a bus, but I am going to throw him under a bus in a little way. You know, Alex McNulty, he's done a great job. He's worked hard on the place, but there's some rendering that's got to be finished. And every time I ask him, oh yeah, I'm in next week. I keep saying to him, are you in a time warp? Because next week comes and you're never in. You know, he needs to finish it because it's creating me a problem in another area because, you know, obviously you've got insurances and you've got building insurances and the building insurance, they want to make sure everything's ticked and crossed off. And that's one of the things that hasn't been crossed off. It hasn't been finished. And it's just going on. And before we know where we are, we're going to be in winter. So that frustrates the life out of me, you know, and then we haven't just got it right. You know, this is me. We haven't just got it right in here with kind of the soundproofing. You know, it just winds me up because when there's a lot of people in, it's like you're walking into a room. You know, like a big. I look, when I used to be on the road, we used to deliver to Heinz at Kit Green in Wigan. You know, and if you walked into their canteen, you can imagine a really big place that employed a lot of people. And then when you went in canteen, it was like you couldn't hear anybody speak because you just heard all you heard were a load of noise, rambling noise, and you couldn't make out what people were saying. It just sounded like a room full of people. And I kind of like sometimes when it's busy in here, that's the. Listen, when the disco's going, nobody will bother about it because all they want is nice effects and flashing lights and the atmosphere's good. But I'm kind of a perfectionist, me, and I kind of like, you know, I was only saying it to Deborah last night. You know, I said, I found it hard work a little bit yesterday. Again, you know, in terms of Man United at dinner time, we're on TV, so obviously the TV's, you know, the commentary's coming out, and then you've got loads of people in and they're all talking, and it's just like, you know, it's like we haven't perfected it yet for the soundproofing to soak up the kind of to make it
create the surround sound.
And we haven't got it right yet, but we'll get there. You know, I mean, these are all just cosmetic, teething problems, you know, but we'll get there. And then the other thing is, and I've touched on it before on the show, which obviously winds me to the top. We are getting bookings, and I'm thankful for that. And we are getting loads of enquiries and even bookings well into next year, which is good. But the fact of the matter is, we get so much more if we promoted it. And at the minute, we haven't promoted it. And the reason why it's not been promoted is because the website's not been finished. And the reason why there are no up on the website, because I get it, people all want to be perfectionists and they want to do well. They wanted this, you know, proper high-class photographs to go on the website. So they were waiting for them. That hasn't happened. And then obviously, you know, the next thing that happens is school holidays kick in, which is a 6-week situation. You know, they've like kind of down tools a little bit. So there's things that have, you know, kind of just getting me down a little bit. And, you know, you know, it's a lot better than where we were, and we've come on, but we need to finish it. It needs to be finished, and it needs to be, you know, the real deal. You know, like even outside, you know, proper signage and. You know, that people know, oh, this is the view. You know, you come up the road and you don't know what it is. You know, so but again, it comes down to, you know, in some respects as well, there's money involvement. You know, and then you get the football side that, you know, not on the pitch at the minute. We'll talk about that in a minute, but. As you know, there's a lot of things going on, even on the pitch that we've got to do. For instance, this week I had it was a positive meeting, to be fair, but I'll know if it'll get ticked off and it'll work in our favour. I'm sure it will. With the barriers, the guy that came up and if it all comes off and comes to fruition and we get 100% funding, this stadium next season will look amazing. Yeah, because we have to have these barriers. They're outlawed now, so we have to have them replaced. Now the problem will come. I'm getting told that we will get 100% funding for it, but it's all right. Talk's cheap until I see it on paper, and you know, and the guys coming this week actually from Stadium Power, who organises everything, who does all the ground grades now and everything. So it's Stadium Power that runs it all. He's coming this week, so I'll know more about. The meeting that I had this week about the barriers, it's not just the barriers when you think about it, because your first reaction, if you don't know what you're talking about, you just think, oh, well, it's just a case of uplifting the barriers and replacing them with fencing. But it's not just that, because it's all about, it'll damage the footpath that we have going round, the walkway, it's going to damage that when they're taking the stuff out. So all going to get damaged. So consequently, as part of it, you're going to have a new footway all the way around. If you're
100%, that sounds even better, doesn't it?
Well, that's right. So you get me. Yeah. So if it comes to fruition, what he's saying to me, we end up with a blinking lovely
perimeter fence, tarmac area,
tarmac walkway, lovely perimeter fence round.
And the cosmetics of the other parts of the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So it will look a bit, you know, and they've even talked, because access isn't the greatest here in getting in with large vehicles, but this is the beauty when you're talking to people who know what they're doing and dealing with this every day. You know, he's talked about getting in this top gate here, moving the cabins so that you've got they can get round, which they will get round, and then making a roadway, clearing all this site here and making a roadway in that'll take you into at the top side at the corner flag area, basically right in onto the pitch area. So all that is positive. It looks good. It sounds good, and it's fingers crossed that we do get 100% funding. And then on top of that, there's a case about the lights being changed to LED, which again, you know, there are funding available for that, but you only get 75%, so you have to put money too. You know, so it's like I've said before, you know, running a football club, it's not just, you know, the players on the park. You've got to generate money, and we've got to be really ruthless in that situation in generating. We can't stand still. We've got to keep generating, you know, money and keeping it coming in. So you can keep it topped up. So if you have to transform into, you know, new floodlights, you've got the money in the bank to be able to pay you 25%. So it's all good, but it's all, if it all comes to fruition, but it's all, there's a lot of work involved to get to that situation, to get to that, you know, position.
No, sounds good. I usually ask you what kind of week you had. What kind of week have you had? I know we've played the games, but I mean, in your general week?
It's been the same, really. Just the same different week, same old shit. Well, even more shit. Because on the business front with vehicles, we have a situation where you can only have one driver off at any given time, because of the nature of the business that we're in.
Yeah.
So we've got drivers off at the minute, or a driver off at the minute, on the holidays. And then, he's actually Lucas, who's actually one of our supporters as well. He finished on Friday, so he's off now for a week. But to go inside with that, we've had that covered. But then, lo and behold, was it Thursday? I think it were. I had to drop everything I were doing. I was actually on the phone at the time to the insurance. And Deborah had took a phone call. He tried to get me at Tommy, Tommy who does the bar, who's getting married he's getting married to Billy Joe in 3 weeks. He's on the phone. He couldn't get me because they're onto the insurance. So he rang Deborah's phone, and Deborah said he's on the phone to insurance, and I heard her say, what have you done? So I knew there was something had happened. I thought, has he had an accident in the van? Whatever. Well, he had an accident, but not crashed the van. He didn't crash the van.
No.
But he's getting out of the van and he slipped, which is easily done. He slipped off the bottom step. Thought he broke his ankle. Massive, but it was more or less a break, but it wasn't a break. It was a really, really bad sprain.
Yeah.
He couldn't. He found himself on the floor. He couldn't move. He was in excruciating pain. So I had to basically, when I came him off the phone, I had to drop everything. I had to get out to Clitheroe. Weren't like it was just round the corner. It was over in Clitheroe where it happened. Luckily, our Martin were on holiday, so he came with me as well. He drove the van back and then took Tommy because in fact, it was the same day I had the meeting scheduled to meet the guy with the barriers. So I had to get back here, but for that meeting. But when it all comes out now, so Tommy's now off work. He was worried. I mean, it is bad. It's bad enough, and he thought he was going to be struggling to walk down the aisle. But he's been told he had to drive for now for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. So that's caused me even another headache, which I'm going to have to deal with when the show finishes, in terms of covering a driver that really shouldn't be off because we've already got a driver off. So it's all frustrating. It's all another chapter in the life of Brent Peters. It's just as it is.
Let's jump onto the football then, because we've got 2 games to cover and whatever else comes to mind in the next 45 to an hour. Start with Garstang, midweek. I came off that game while I was buzzing because, not the fact we were just playing Garstang, because, we've played Garstang many times down the last couple of years since I've been at the club, but it was just a very good team performance on Wednesday night against Garstang. And I thought we went about our business in a professional manner. I don't know if you saw exactly the same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we'd spoke about previous, which is always good, one of the things we'd spoke about is that why, if people look at the shit, the way that we set up, and you hear it so many times, you hear it said, and it's just the way that the players, it's not their instructions that they're given, it's just the way the players go about the business or where they position themselves on the pitch. So you'll hear certain comments and say, why are we only playing with one up front? Well, we don't play with one up front.
No.
We don't set up to play one up front. In reality, we play with 3 up front. Right? But it's the way the players are. And I keep saying it, and I say it all the time, we do not play with wingers. The width comes from the fullbacks. We play with inside forwards. In this shape, we play with inside forwards. So your 7 and 11 are inside forwards. right? They've got to get up with you know, in and around your centre forward. That's what they've got to do. So when the game before, which was Selby, you know, there were times in that game, the Selby game, where, you know, Caden looked like he was isolated and he was kind of on his own.
Yeah.
So I kind of spoke to the coach and I said, we've got to get it so that the 7 and 11 are not playing out wide. They're more in. They've got to be more in field. And we've never, you know, no disrespect to the last couple of seasons and whoever's played right back and left back, but I haven't seen us like I've seen us now with our right back, the current right back and left back in who we've got, doing what really suits the formation that we play, because they do attack really, really positive the wide positions, positive, all right, and get back in. They're attacking great and they do the recovery runs great. You know, it's no surprise that the last few games that the contenders for man of the match have been either Aidan Lancaster or James Bartholomew.
Yeah.
You know, it's no surprise. So it's massively important that the 7 and 11 are inside more, because if the 7 and 11 are stretched into that channel, what happens is they're taking their space.
Yeah.
So they can't get round them. They, you know. So obviously, if they're inside, they can come up. So in an effect, when you think about it, when you're attacking and you're attacking in full flow, you know, you've got your two fullbacks, you've got your two inside forwards, you've got a centre forward, and you've got your number 10 in Connor that's supporting. Mm. So everything's positive, but we've got to fine tune that, and the only way you fine tune that is on the training pitch. But the difficult part now is when games, we've just had a really, really difficult month where it's been intense, you know, on the training ground. So you've just got to like talk it through. Go on the board in the changing room, talk it through, and try and drum it in. Now that was the first time really that we've before the Garstang game that I first of all, when I went in and did my talk, I brought it up and we talked it through. But then that's when Alan takes stage as the coach and he goes into it deeper, and then goes on the board and shows them on the board. And because we did that, and what we're pleasing, when we came out, you know, irrespective of the opposition, when we came out, they executed that. Yeah. And the pleasing thing, all of a sudden, from a team that looked like we only had an odd goal in us, we look like we're a side full of goals.
Yeah, there's now more options.
There were more options. And it proved it, because we didn't just score the 4 goals that we scored, but we missed probably the same amount of what were probably as good opportunities. So all of a sudden, it's clicked in that game. Everything's clicked. We look to force. You're buzzing. Everybody's buzzing, and you know it was a truly, truly magnificent performance in the by that. Just them tweaks, and it was really, really positive, and it just shows you that, you know, that's what you've got to do. And I know that we shouldn't compare, but I keep saying this, that football's the same game. But those who watched that Hull City Man United game yesterday at lunchtime, and our players watched it up to half time. The frustrating part about that, as what I'm looking at, they play exactly the same shape to Man United. It's exactly the same. But the 7 and 11 were too, in my opinion, were too much of a kind of similar. You know, everybody were just like, you know, there were nobody playing 7 and 11. I tried to pick in 7 and 11. I tried to pick expansive players, athletic players that are, and they've got a trick in them, and they can create, like, like your Alex Mellors, like your blinking Carl Siddall, like your blinking Josh Walnes, like your Charlie Cohen. They're different kinds of players, and they've got that in their locker because they've got a trick, and they can create their own space, and they're athletic. Now, when you watch the United game yesterday, they're so frustrating that weren't happening. Now, you've got to obviously give all a lot of credit because, and one thing about what everybody's saying after the game, and even this morning, they're all talking about, the work rate and the organisation of Hull. And I said it all along. If you've got a team that works harder, right, and works really hard for each other,
it's better than talent.
It's better than talent. If you've got talent on that pitch, but the talent's just thinking strolling about and not putting the effort in, that effort will come through every time. And that's what happened with Hull. They came through because they had the art, they had the endeavour, they were blinking buzzing, they were determined that they weren't going to get beat. And that work rate. So if you flick that into, it's the same principle, even although the standards, the quality of player is different, but it's the same principle. So you bring it down. So we go back to the Garstang game. When we did them tweaks and got the players believing and in them positions, it was fantastic because the approach play and the link up play. When you think about it, when we were attacking, you've got like Jay Townsend, you've got like Caden Barlow linking, Connor Morris linking. You've got options. You've got the fullbacks overlapping. You've got Aidan Lancaster, and then you've got James Bartholomew all overlapping. You've options all over the place, and before you know,
players coming from deeper positions, coming from midfield to link up.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good, and long may that continue. That they've got to do that all the time, because we have got the players now, that really suits the formation.
Yeah,
and that's why.
But then you kind of move that on to yesterday's performance, Brent, and it's kind of 40%. Less than what I saw against Garstang.
Well, listen, I
didn't see the same kind of purpose in our play.
No,
same thought process in the final third. The balls were going astray, were lackluster.
Correct. Well, this is my next point. My next point is this, and this isn't excuses. This is fact. We all have standards, right? I have a listen, if I cheated on what my responsibilities are at this football club, I'm not just talking about standing in that technical area. I'm talking about other areas that I have to run in here. If I thought, I can't be asked today, then what do you think will happen? Things won't get done.
Yeah.
And if things don't get done, people could be coming in for a party and you haven't done something, or so you have to be on top of your game all the time, right? It's personal pride. You have to be. Even if you get up in the morning and you think, I can't be asked today, you have to, get yourself showered, get yourself prepared, and then get out of bed, and you've got to deal with it. And this is the difference, in my opinion, and will continue to be the difference in the mentality of a team that wins the league and a team that fails to win the league. Because the team that wins the league, they will put that intensity in every game. Yeah. That's what they'll do. It's business as usual, and you'll put it in.
Even if the game's not going well, they'll find a way to grind the 3 points.
Yeah. Now, when you have levels and you have a level, and I'm talking collective, you've hit the nail. I haven't even spoke to you about what's on, but I can only tell you what's on my pad here from the first half. Now, if you look at the first half, did we create chances? Yeah, we did create chances. That's not the prop. That's not prop. I think we had an early chance where we were through in the first few minutes, and we should have hit the target. That annoys me to start with, right? We can't hit the target, but I see it in training. I'm sorry, but when I'm seeing training sat here, right, and the fucking balls are clearing the blinking club,
Yeah.
take that in the game on a Saturday. They've got to take care and take a pride, and they're not. You know, they're slamming balls everywhere and not taking a pride. At least hit the target. At least make the goalkeeper make a save.
Yeah.
So when you're not hitting the target from a few yards out, well, that is you can't. That's it. It's terrible, right, in my eyes. But we didn't hit the target, so that was a great opportunity. That would have set us. That would have set the tone for the afternoon. That would have kicked us on from the Garstang game. So if you think about it, from all the lethargicness that they had going into the game, if they were lethargic and feeling lethargic, that would have probably, with adrenaline, cleared, because happy days, we were a goal up already. But because we weren't, obviously, that it kind of set the tone in my eyes for the rest of the half.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about the chances that we're going through, I only saw from that there were that chance that we didn't hit the target in the first few minutes. Then we had another chance, which were dragged from Aiden to Towney, striking to keeper. So we had another chance there. Then with a chance, good move down the right, Aiden counter, good move down the right, ran through for Kyle, who put the keeper made a good save down at the post, right? And then they scrambled it away, right? So we had that. We only had about 3 chances really in the first half, but we had loads of possession, loads. Now, in my opinion, right, this is my opinion. When we got to the final third, we made the wrong decisions.
Yeah, it's almost worse.
We were making wrong decisions, or taking too many touches and not making the early quick pass or sliders, and we're kind of hitting first men, and not putting, if it were in a wide area, not putting crosses in when we should have put crosses in. All the decision making in the final third for me was not right in that first half. So for me, the build-up play were brilliant in the first half. We played some really, really good football, right? But it broke down at the final third. Now, I'm not going to go in that changing room at half-time and say, keep doing what we're doing, and because what's the point of saying keep doing what we're doing? Yeah. Because for me,
you could play till next month and not score.
We weren't doing anything. We never looked like we were going to really score.
No.
Because the word I put on here was wake up.
Yeah.
Anticipation all over. We've got to anticipate. Yeah. There were too many times I thought we a couple of players, when we got to the final third, we were kind of like not
almost like daydreaming.
Reading the situation and being on the front foot, daydreaming, on the back foot, and then reacting after the ball's been played. So it fizzles out. So all them things are in. Now, I'm not being funny. Sometimes you'll go in a changing room, and because the players have their opinions, they look at you like you're blinking. Are you watching the same game? Yeah. Well, I am watching the same game. And I'm telling you, the pen doesn't lie. I come back. The pen does not lie.
But it also comes to that word that you mentioned before. Standards, correct. So obviously, as a manager, I ain't going to come in there. That's if this is why you get in changing rooms, good cop, bad cop. The coach, he can go in and he can, kind of say, keep doing what you're doing, but instead of doing this, do that. But the coach's role is different to yours, Brent. The coach is
totally different.
Looking technical and looking at shape, but you as a manager, you're looking at the overall package.
Correct. And I went in there at halftime kind of frustrated. And I was more even frustrated that we went to go down. And you know what it's like. You're playing not the best team, right? And I'm not taking anything away from AFC Knowsley. I'm not going to come on here and, they
work
have
the socks off for what they've got.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at. They worked their socks off. They were busy. They wanted to come. They knew that whatever the bottom line, what they had to do coming to Bacup, they had to work their socks off, because if they didn't work their socks off, they would be steamrolled.
Yeah.
So they had to work the socks off. That was minimum. And to be honest, they did work the socks off. They worked the socks off for 90 minutes, right? Which helped the cause. And by doing so, and the fact that their goalkeeper on the day, Liam Sargent, was on top of his game, helped them to secure a point.
Yeah.
But my point being, as lethargic as we might have been when we got to the last third, we should have gone in there at 0-0 at half time. We didn't go in 0-0 at half time. We went in 1-0 down, which when you're playing a team, no matter how bad they are, right, they've got something to hang on to. So if you do something stupid, which we did, let's be honest, that were a free kick. It was going nowhere. I mean, why are we trying to make a challenge the way we made a challenge there?
Guide him out to corner flag.
Not only make a challenge, but he's freaking ended up getting. It was only booking in the game for us. He's ended up. The lad's got booked, which is on 4 bookings now. 1 more booking, he's out. So it was back. So instead of the blinking players, which they will do in the change, all sticking together, and then I thought we played all right. We did all right. We keep going. Hang on. Why are we giving a daft free kick? Now that's my job. Why are you giving a stupid free kick away there? But we've given a free kick away and they scored from that free kick. Now, how bad of a side you might think they were or whatever, they did something that we haven't done. I don't think we've done since start of season. Score from a free kick around the box.
No, he got it over. He got it over the wall or around the wall and into that bottom corner. Okay, didn't he?
Exactly. So at the end of the day, let's have it right. But they're 1-0 up at this point. So 1-0 up, I'm thinking, blanking out, we really don't. It's not like you're thinking, you're relaxed and you think, I'm not too unduly worried about the 1-0, because we're playing well enough all over the pitch. We're playing well enough. We'll get back into this game. But the way we were playing up to the final third, I agree. But in the final third, I didn't agree, because I thought, it's not happening. It's coming from. It's not happening. It's not happening. We don't really look like we're going to create something from nothing here, and you know that a team like that, all they needed to do was just put a blinking, low block, defend deep, 5-man blinking defensive wall, and we can't break them down. We could have ended up losing that game 1-0.
Yeah. Well, our goal came from a penalty.
Exactly, which I'm coming to in a minute. But the point, what I'm trying to make is, so you're going at half time, and obviously the manager's going to be bloody a bit not happy, because why would he be happy? We've absolutely dominated possession for 45 minutes. We needed to be a bit more kind of on the front foot around the final third, be a bit sharper with our passing, and do things a bit more, quicker. Yeah, and then we'll break the deadlock. If we score 1, we'll probably score a few. But we've ended up giving a free kick away. They've scored off the free kick. They've got something to hang on to, and you could tell where we're going. We're going to end up losing this game. So, obviously, I've said what I've had to say at half time. They look at you though like they didn't see it that way. They thought that they were playing well enough for that. I come that down to standards. Where's our standards? Now, I see comments and I hear comments of probably Connor's little fan club, Connor Morris's little fan club, right? And they're entitled to their opinion. But Connor is a terrific lad, and he's a terrific player. And I love Connor to bits. He's now on the coaching staff, and he'll create something. But the fact of the matter is, let's be honest, if you know your players and Connor is one of them players where at the minute he's carrying a little bit of a niggle, right? He's carrying a little niggle. He's not on his own. We've got to protect certain players, and Connor is one of them, right? My physio is crucifying me at times because there's certain players we're playing, right? And he's saying they shouldn't be playing. But Lincoln, what do you want me to do? Go and put Lincoln reserve team out?
Yeah. We've already lost about, I know it's difficult because you've already lost 3 or 4 players already, and we're only 5 games into a season.
Well, the injured players is Brady Boardman, Alex Mellor, Mason Fallon, Caden Barlow, and now we've lost Ben Thompson, and we all lost Billy the other day with concussion. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was 6.
6 players. And that's half your bleeding team. And they're all first team players then. And then there's other players. Exactly. And then there's other players in the team that we've got to be a bit careful with, right? Is Connor's one of them, Josh One's another, right? And Ty's another. And you know, it's no surprise that, you know, if I turn round, which I did off air, and I'm not going to say it on here, but one of them players, I said, you know, he complains when he's not in and when he's in. But one of the reasons will be because he's not right.
No, he's not 100%.
He's not 100%. So this is the problem. So then there's decisions got to be made, you know. And when you're thinking, so, and I realised that, you know, his dad's come out and said I'd have took him off at half time, laughing probably. But no, I'm not going to do that. You know, we'll let him play an hour. And usually Connor's one of them who wants to come off after an hour anyway.
Yeah, because he's busted a gut in them 60 minutes.
Correct. So we'll give him an hour. And let's just see how it goes. And, you know, he's always one that'll pull a rabbit out the hat for you, right? Now, I understand the other comment where it said, we got ourselves back in the game. He should have left it at 10. But the decision had already been made. The sub before the penalty had come.
Yeah.
The sub were ready to go on.
And there were tired legs out there.
The sub, Charlie, was ready to go on. The ball hadn't gone out to play. We couldn't get him on. But he was ready to go on. So the fact that, and then all of a sudden we get the penalty. And then we score from the penalty. But the decision were already made that Connor were coming off and Charlie were going on. Now, again, this is about, and let me explain this one to you. There's different kinds of players. Charlie is a total different player to Connor. So if it's not working in the game, not Connor, I'm not all talking about Connor, I'm talking about in the game. If it is not working, right, you have to try as a manager. You can't just stand there and think, well, we'll get a break and believe you'll get a break. No, you've got to sometimes force that situation. And by forcing it, you have to change something. And sometimes you make a substitution, not because the player's having a bad time. You make a substitution because you think, I'm going to put this lad on because he might offer something different that might create
change direction of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And Charlie is one of them players. Charlie, every time he's come off the bench, he's done really, really well because he's a different. He's just totally different player.
He can see gaps.
And yeah, so the decision was made that with the first substitution, Connor will come off and we'll put Charlie on. Now, it just so happens that we got the penalty and we took him off at the same time, basically. So, under normal circumstances, had we not have already got Charlie ready and been stood there waiting, probably right, that substitution would have given it 10 minutes and seen how things panned out. I get it. We would have done that. But
even with scoring the goal, Brent, from what I could see, and, you know, that decision needed to be made. Because we got the goal through a penalty. Yeah, it was good work to get the penalty in the first place, but the game needed to change. And it needed new personnel on the pitch, I thought. And that's what I agree.
I totally agree with you. And the game, for me, from the standards that they set, these players, and they're all talented lads, from the standards that they set, they fell below the standard. And the team were frustrating us, who we were playing against. which is only natural. We can all be blinkered and look at our team, but we've also got to look at the opposition. And the fact that the opposition were putting in a performance like they were putting in. I mean, I once remember many years ago when I hadn't been at Bacup long, and I came, and Woodley Sports, who's now Stockport Sports, right? Woodley Sports were flying at the top of the league, and they had a striker playing there who went on to he got took into league football. I can't remember. I think he was called Thompson. I might be wrong, but I think he was called Thompson. Really, we had the prayer going there. We had the prayer, right? They were flying, and we were struggling, right? We were struggling. With a lot of young lads in the team, and we went to Stockport, right? And it was all about work rate and organisation. And we went there, and we actually beat them by the odd goal because we got a break and we won. And this is what I say: if you've got a team that want to work hard and stop and get in people's faces and work your socks off, that will come through on top than any skill factor. So my point being, right, when we're stood there and we're seeing that this situation's happening, I could not see. I honestly thought we'll play till next week and we will not. It's one of them games, and you see it. It's one of them games. We're not going to score. We're not going to. It's not going to happen for us today. But you've got to try and make it happen. And if you've got different kinds of players on the bench, I mean, we even though it was late, we even introduced Manny, and Manny offered something different. Yeah. So they offered something different. So then them scenarios could break the deadlock and get you in.
Do you not feel though that maybe, well, you make the decisions, of course, but I mean that Manny could have maybe come on a little bit sooner, Brent. Could have given him a bit more time.
He could have done. I mean, the fact that listen, he were always going to come on for Kyle, right? Now, Kyle's found it because he's been out for a long time. I'll be honest here, because he's been out for all that time. Let's be honest, he's now slowly getting back into it. Slowly. Yeah. He's not hitting the ground running by a long chalk, right? To where Kyle's
effective. Yeah.
But he's still effective. Now, what's happening is, if you look at that game yesterday, he was effective, but he was slow. But once he scored that penalty, right, his confidence were up, sky high. And again, when you get like the Conor Morris little fan club turning around and saying, he should have given him 10, when we were talking about Connor, 10 minutes after the penalty. Well, they're exactly right in this situation with Kyle, because Kyle took the penalty.
Yeah, and then his tail were up to give you another 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah. Exactly. So the point is right. I get the point, what they were saying, but we already made the point with Connor before the penalty. You get me? We weren't after, but going back to the Kyle situation, once he scored that penalty, he were up. So then for 10 minutes, so possibly if we hadn't got that penalty, right, Manny would have been on a lot sooner. But the fact were, Kyle were up, and it wasn't right to take him off then because he was giving us more.
Yeah, and he was still giving us plenty down that left-hand side with them.
Yeah,
overlapping runs of Bartholomew and Townsend drifting out to that left as well. So there were a lot of activity down that left-hand side, weren't there?
But the thing is, at the end of the day, whichever which way we look at it, we can strip it all we want to strip it. We can say what we want to say, and everybody can say, but we should have had 3 points because Jake Townsend should finish that effort at the end again. And what was the other game that we went through and we were through and right at the death and we miss it? They've got to be clinical. They've got to finish them chances.
Yeah, he'd done all the hard work. He got himself in a great position.
But
I've got to give the goalkeeper some credit, though.
I was just going to say that
left leg, and he pulled off a good save there.
Yeah, the keeper's diverted it away. You've got to. I get that. But and at least you can't listen. In contrast to the one we missed in the first few minutes of the game, when we opened the game up in the first half, he has hit the target, and that's all you can ask for. Whereas the person in the first few minutes doesn't hit the target.
Yeah, and it does, and that would have changed early on in the game. That would have changed the complexion straight away because, you know, last thing Knowsley wanted to do was concede an early goal. You know that.
Yeah, exactly. That would have
killed them.
I think, exactly. I think that would have set the tone, but you've got to understand, and this is in defence of the players. I mean, I shouldn't really be in defence of the players. I should be ruthless, but I've got to give them. They've just had. I'm sorry, but I know it's the same for other teams. But they've just had 3 weeks of intense football from the start of the season for 3 weeks, playing twice a week, right? Players picking injuries up, players picking niggles up, and we've had to play them some minutes because we've had players picking injuries up. They've given a good honest shift in all them games. So they've given a good honest shift in all them games. And they've only had exactly. So you're going to get performances that it's totally different. It's a bit like, again, I'll flick back to all the comments you're hearing about Man United, where they're saying it'll be different for Carrick this year because they're not playing. They're in Europe now, so they'll be playing. Like last year, they were playing only once a week. Now they're in Europe, they're playing twice a week, so it's testing them. They'll test the squad. Well, it's the same with us. In them 3 weeks, it's tested the squad, and it's been difficult, and that's why you're getting possibly erratic performances. You've had the midweek game where they were on top of it. They were buoyant. They were flying, and then they've come on the Saturday. There's not much recovery time because we play on a Wednesday, and then they've come on the Saturday, and they're just a little bit. They're not on the front foot like they should be.
Yeah. But, Simon Kilshaw with us as always. He makes a good point, actually, Brent. We'll have a look at this. I reckon the harder surface underfoot is probably contributing to muscle injuries, similar to AstroTurf. He said dislike, ? Think he's got a point there because of the surfaces are,
100% he's got a point. It's an issue. I mean, Ty's got issues with shin splints, but Miguel said it isn't shin splints. It's something. He calls it something else. But when you speak to Ty, it's shin splints, and shin splints is created by hard surfaces.
Yeah.
It isn't good. Listen, the maddening thing is, if you look last week up at Selby, you looked at that pitch and you think, blinking heck, it's blinking rutted, solid, rutted.
I was looking bloody good compared to a lot that I've seen this season.
I know, but what we're saying is if that were in winter, as a frozen pitch, you'd be getting a pitch inspection and they'd be getting called off.
Yeah.
But they're not getting called off in summer. But they're as bad.
Well, remember that pitch went to AFC Blackpool? Dear oh dear, it was like playing on concrete.
Exactly.
Brady Bowman coming from 50 metres away.
Yeah. Simon's got a good point there. The pitches aren't. But it's one of them, isn't it? In another couple of months, and the rain comes, and they start cutting up the pitches, and the soil start getting heavier there, and we'll wish we were back to. There's no happy medium really, but he's got a point. We just got to cope with it, haven't we, and deal with it. I don't think we're doing bad. I think we're doing all right. No. I mean, you can put whatever slant you want on. We did talk about this off there, like when you turn around and said, some people will say we dropped 2 points. It were 2 points thrown away yesterday, but I kind of, I'm more of a positive than a negative. So I turn around and say, I don't believe we've dropped 2 points. I think we've took 4 out of the possible 6 in 2 games.
Yeah. No, yeah. fair point. But you keep going back to them standards, and if you want to be at the top end, then them standards have got to be kind of drummed into the players every single week, haven't they? You just want the penny to drop so that they can go out there every week and perform to the same levels.
The issue you've got with players at this level, and our players, and I'm going to be straight here, and it's I hit the roof on blinking, absolutely flipped my lid on Friday when I found this out, right? And the problem that you've got with these players, right? Some of them have got, whether they like it or they don't like what I'm saying here, I'm being straight, they're amateur mindsets. So today, for instance, there's a game coming on here in a bit. I think all Rochdalians are playing somebody on here in a friendly, right? They've paid for the facilities and happy days. So, but what I'm saying is there'll be some players that'll have played semi-pro football yesterday, took knocks, gone out, won't really be fit, gone out, had a few beers last night because it's Saturday night, and they'll be playing for old Rochdalians here today, right? On an injury, which really speaking, will be making that injury worse, right? Now, I'm just talking. I'm not talking about my players doing that. I'm just saying in generalizing. But away from this situation, right? I'm a big believer, because of where I've been brought up and seen it. If you're in a pro club, right, and you've played the night before and you've picked up a bit of a knock or whatever, the day after you're in with the physio, and you're under the jurisdiction of that physio. The day after that, you'll be with the physio again. And then he'll see how you are, and then when it comes to like Friday, he might give you something to do, like light, just to see if you're feeling any reaction. Then he'll report to the manager, and he'll say, I think he's good to go if you want to select him. Now, that's how that scenario would work in a pro club. Unfortunately, we're not in a pro club. We're in a non-league club. We haven't got all the gubbins, all the good equipment that physios have in football league clubs. We've got a physio that's very knowledgeable, but he's limited into what he can do. He can only do what he can do with his hands and stretching exercises and everything else. But as you know as well as I know, and rest, but you know as well as I know, that is a prolonged process.
Yeah.
It's not, you're going to lose, you're not going to get players back in a quick situation. Right? So, as like I explained to the players yesterday, when you've been in the game as long as I've been in the game, and you meet people, you come across people, you work with people, you have contacts in the game, and over time you utilise those contacts. I mean, we got a terrific young goalkeeper in for the last 2 games when Billy's had concussion. That hasn't come about because of one of my contacts.
Yeah.
You know, that kid plays at Warrington Town, down the road, you know, an hour down the road. So only because through my football connections, I know the goalkeeping coach. We go back a long way.
Next to me on Wednesday, he came to watch Harry, Mark Canning.
Yeah, exactly. So you utilise your contacts, Mike, and if he can't help you, he's got contacts. So it's a knock-on effect. So he'll say, listen, leave it with me. I'll come back to you, Brent.
Yeah.
So you're in charge of a situation, but you're utilising your contacts. Equally, if it comes down to physios, again, you utilise. I've worked with some, top physios, good lads. No more than one that we use all the time. I always recommend. He's been in football. He's probably not round about my age, and he's worked all the time. He's been in football league clubs. Yeah. He knows in his sleep. He knows what injuries you've got because he's been dealing with it that long. And if my players were to put on group chat and speak to like the players who's played for me in the past, like Daniel Cox, like Gareth Wager, people of that ilk, Lee Oldham, people of that ilk. What's his physio like? What's his physio like? They'd all say top physio. He's a good guy. He knows his stuff, right? But he's got all his equipment, right? But he's a football league physio. He works in a football league club, right? But equally, he has his own practices. As a sideline, he has his own practices.
But he can get to the root of the problem almost immediately.
Quicker.
Because of the equipment he's got.
Exactly. Okay, the lads have to pay. But if you go to a normal physio, it's 70 quid. You might get one at 60 quid. He'll charge you the one I'm talking about. He'll charge me if they know that he knows it's me. And I think he does it with, the Avro lads as well.
Discounted rate.
Yeah. He does it at a lot of discounted rate. So I say to my players, ring this number, tell me you play for me. And this is undermining Miguel in any which way, shape or form.
No.
And you can have treatment. You'll get treatment tomorrow. He'll get you in. So we played Wednesday. So Caden Barlow, let's take, for instance, I told him straight, ring this number, let me know, he'll get you in. He's got a clinic in Rottenstall on Thursday, right? Let me know if he's got you in and keep me posted what he says, right? That was the instruction. I ring him because he hasn't rang me on Friday, and he's gone, I never went to physio. I never went because I didn't. A couple of lads said, don't use him, or you can use your own physio. If you've got your own. And I said, well, have you got your own? Well, no. I know somebody, but it's nearer my house. Somebody in Tottington. He said, but I don't go on Monday, so I've hit the roof. So he's missed. I've gone ballistic because he's missed getting treatment. He could have had treatment the day after. He could have had treatment. So let's say he's gone to Liversedge on the booking Thursday and had treatment, and then he gives him stretches to do.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not fit. He wouldn't have been fit for Saturday. Let's say he definitely wouldn't have been fit for Saturday. Right.
Hopefully he's back in training midweek.
Yeah. What he should have done then, and this is where it breaks down, he should have been here yesterday and he wasn't here, getting treatment again off Miguel. So he'd have had he'd have had freaking Liversedge on Lincoln Thursday, done some stretching exercises Friday, Miguel here at the game on Saturday. He'd been having intense as much as he could get because we're out as a non-league club, and then probably go to his other physio he wants to go to on a Monday. So but he's still getting treatment. He's not leaving it. So when he goes to this physio he wants to go to on Monday, he's already had 2 good sessions with Miguel and Liversedge. He's already had these 2 good sessions, but no. They don't do it. They don't make the phone call. They don't go, and they make the phone call to their physio. They can't get him until Monday, so he's missed them days, and he's not even turned up here to get treatment off Miguel yesterday. Equally, he's not on his own. This is the mentality. Brady Bournemouth. So I said to Brady Bournemouth yesterday, how you doing, Brady? And these are contract players. I could really enforce this because if they read the contract, they should be doing something about it.
Yeah.
So I go to Brady. How are you doing? Yeah. Well. Okay. But all he's doing is old-fashioned. So, rest. Rest isn't going to cure you. It will do eventually, but you'll be out longer. You want to come back playing?
Yeah.
Or do you not? If you want to come back playing,
if it's muscle.
I'm saying to Brady yesterday in here, have you been to a physio? Well, no. I don't think there's much a physio can do. Well, how do you know that? When did you qualify to be a physio? So how do you know that there's not much he can do? I think you should go and see him. But if not, why have you not gone in and seen Miguel today?
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to say to you. The mindset of these players, they're freaking seriously. And the trouble is, where I've come from and been, that comes natural. But we've got players here that are thinking amateur in their head, they're amateur in the mindset.
Yeah.
And even they're not being disrespectful.
It comes natural, even if you're, our serving. You've got an injury, it bloody gets dealt with in the same shape that you just mentioned there. Physio, morning, noon, and night, rehab, the lot. You don't just leave it and do the old-fashioned, I'll be all right in a couple of weeks, I'll just rest it.
It's madness, and this is what I'm trying to say. And then they wonder why it's taking so long. But while it's taking so long, we're losing good players.
Yeah.
That are not in the team. And then we've had another injury in Ben Thompson. Eventually, we'll end up having, I hope we don't, but if we're not on the game here, we'll end up having bloody car crash results against good teams, what we want to be picking points up against, really serious games. And we're going in it, we probably, a well-weakened hand. Because we're not going in. We have a full... the makeshift team, because you've lost the likes of Brady, Alex Mason, Caden, Ben Thompson, but do something about it.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah. They've got to help themselves, but they've got to help the team to get back as soon as bloody possible.
I mean, I hit the roof on Friday, believe me. And then when eventually I found out who the two people were that had freaking said something, they got phone calls off me as well. And I went mad at them. I mean, since when have they been freaking qualified physios? They're not. And it's all right. I get it. Listen, if Miguel had all the equipment here, I wouldn't be saying anything about going anywhere else. Because we pay Miguel, right? Miguel treats them, right? We buy his equipment. That's us, right? So, but he hasn't got, he's limited to what he can do, right? You need the electrodes. You need all that pulse, whatever it is. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a physio, but I know that if there was in the football, why do you think all this happens? In football league, they want players turn over. They want them back out on the pitch. They're assets.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
they're assets. 2 of my injured players, 3 now of my injured players are contract players.
So they're assets.
So they're assets, and they're doing nothing because they're not trying to even get. They're not even going. Yeah, all right, Caden will go on Monday to his physio, right? Fair enough, he'll go on Monday, right? But he's lost several days in treatment where I've just explained it. So they're not helping. It's so frustrating, and then they wonder why. And then if results start to blink and go the other way, and we start to turn on the results, people are small-minded. People will go, freaking hell, what's he doing? Freaking team he's picking. Look at that. We're bloody rubbish. We're terrible. Hang on, take your blinkers off. Yeah. Look who's missing. Half these players are missing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get them back because I can see the bigger picture. I know. I want them back yesterday. Not bloody, not at blinking end of blinking beginning of November.
Yeah. Bloody season could be over by then.
Right. And this is what I'm saying about they're not. What I'm trying to say is they're not. Listen, they're young lads and they have to be educated. But sometimes being educated, they don't help themselves because they go and talk to each other and they go, well, I wouldn't go to him. Why do you not? I'll tell you a good physio. It's so-and-so down Lincoln High Street at Lincoln Tottington. Right, well, he'll charge you 70 quid.
Yeah.
Go and pay 70 quid. If you can afford 70 quid, fine. But it's not only one session, that. What's he going to charge you the second session you go? 70 quid again. So in 2 sessions, you play 140 quid.
Yeah.
If you listen to me, you'll pay 40 on 2 sessions.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. They don't listen. They think they know better.
Yeah. On a lighter note, Brent, we've had a nice comment, actually, from one of the parents of the players from yesterday. We're talking about the goalkeeper, weren't we? Liam Sargent, he said he had a good game. Good morning. Thank you for your kind comments for our goalkeeper, son Liam Sargent. Your lads tested him in the second half after a very tough start to the season with having had away games. I totally agree with your comments. Our AFC Knowsley lads worked their socks off yesterday against a tough opposition. Also, a very big thank you to your very kind hospitality. Your new clubhouse is fantastic. Good luck for the rest of the season. Cheers, Paula. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Yeah. And it's always great to get the kind words for our hospitality team. Deborah, Haley, Billy Joe, Susan, of course, when she's with us. Do a great job, all of them. Jane. Alistair. But yeah, great words from Paula.
Yeah, thank you. But they did, going back to AFC, and I go back to it. Listen, it's no good being, people being critical of the team, because you've got what you've got. The club have got what they've got, but they've got good, honest lads.
Yeah.
And them honest lads have turned up here yesterday, right, and put a shift in, and that's all you can ask. And they've gone back down, the East Lancashire Road. We a point from a, and I'm not just saying this, from a difficult place to come in Bacup Borough.
But we talk about new clubs coming into the league all the time, Brent, and we mentioned it. It can be very difficult for a new team to come from kind of amateur football into semi-pro football. You might not have the resources. You've certainly probably not got the money. So you're having to take players from the West Lancs into a semi-pro, and it can be difficult. And sometimes you can fall off a cliff in the first season.
Yeah, you can. And that's why I think that it's wrong what the FA do, and there's no there's
no kind of safety net for them, is there?
No safety net. That's exactly right. And it's they can invest all this money that they have to do to get the ground grading up to speed, but they haven't got it right on the pitch because they underestimated the competition.
Yeah,
and they can fall foul and finish at the wrong end of the table and end up going back after one season. But yet they spent all that money. But for what reason?
Yeah, there's got to be something in place for them.
I think so.
But no, great to see Knowsley, and we've got a week now, haven't we? Or the lads have got a week. Ryan and Alan have got a week. Have they got a couple of training sessions this week, Brent?
The scheduled to do, 100%. But I've already put my thought process in place. About certainly on the beginning of the week, the Tuesday one. I think we should be doing, instead of going where we normally go with a ball and having drills and doing a training session like that. I think really the ball should be put to bed. I think it should be more of a recovery session now. And by that I mean finding somewhere, and this is the problem. It's easier, talk's cheap really. It's easier said than done. If there's anyone out there that's got or knows a facility that we can hire, or somebody wants to donate a couple of hours to us that's got a facility that's like swimming pool, sauna, jacuzzi, something around that ilk, I think that would be more beneficial to the players at the beginning of the week you know, now, you know, to get rid of all that lactic acid and, you know, nice and relax and then on Thursday, you know, go out on the grass in preparation for the game on Saturday.
Yeah, good shout.
But
So,
we've got to find that facility, and obviously, again, you know, I'm sure we could go to the village in Borough. You know, we've done that before and took players down there. But then when you start going to places like that, you know, there's a cost behind it. So it's an extra cost on the club. This is why I keep saying to my commercial team, if they are listening, you need to keep bringing the money in. Because if you don't bring the money in, we ain't got no money. And then we can't go to places like the village to make sure our players get back on track.
Yeah. No, good point. Anything more to add, Brent, for this show? Have we missed anything on this week? We'll give it a week before we crack into the Premiership. I know you were watching United yesterday, and it wasn't a good watch, really.
No, well, it weren't. No, but you know, I've got my own job to do, and Michael Carrick's got his job to do. So,
yes. And the game this afternoon is just a friendly game.
It's on now. It'll be kicking. They're all coming in now. Actually, they're all going to be coming in now. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a friendly, but it's all Rochdalians and all that.
Okay, then, Brent. I shall speak to you next week, and I'll see you at the seaside.
Okay, mate. Top man. Thank you.
See you later.
Later.